The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
Obviously, we over budgeted last year. I hate to say that I was right, but I was right.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
And we have no way to maintain control over the spending of this program, and it will be a disaster for this state long term.
But we have a whole gamut of kids whose parents would like to do something for them and they cannot.
I take our constitutional rights, the constitutional rights of my constituents, very seriously.
This is simply about putting it out of reach of young, innocent, vulnerable children and making our libraries and schools a safe place for them to go.
And I am increasingly frustrated that we cannot stop ourselves from drinking at the public trough.
He's sounding the alarm. He's saying if we don't address these issues, we potentially might have greater problems moving forward.
Mr. Speaker, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you boil this down, there is never any time that a parent's right to govern what their children see and what they're exposed to should ever be bypassed.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
We're supposed to be bottom-up government. We're supposed to be representing my citizens' ideas and your citizens' ideas, and we're supposed to be discussing them and debating them to come to a conclusion.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Treatment that they need. This is really why our misdemeanors do not have a minimum penalty in them. And if you look at all the misdemeanor statutes, you'll see that there is not a minimum penalty. Misdemeanor crimes which actually hurt people actually cause harm to people.
You are now watching Representative John Gannon, Democrat from Legislative District 17, standing up in the floor right now on the House side, debating House Bill number 7, which would impose a $300 minimum fine if you are caught with marijuana in the state of Idaho.
Misdemeanor injury to child
of less than 3 ounces.
Sexual exploitation by a medical provider of a...
So if you're driving around with a brick and kilos of marijuana, that's a different story. But this is the bill before the House right now. Welcome, everybody. Idaho Signal, Matt Edwards here. We are live. It's January 21 in 2025. It is a new day in America. If you were like most Americans and good folks, you were caught up in yesterday's festivities and activity that was flowing throughout the country yesterday out of Washington, D.C., with President Trump and Vice President Vance being sworn in. And it was pretty exciting for all of us to watch that. So, but things do go on here in the state of Idaho, and we are focused. That's where our focus is, and so we will continue to bring you the latest about what's happening down in Boise. So, what we are paying attention to the House today because, as of right now, like we said, House Bill 7 is on the floor, but what's expected to come on after this bill is House Bill 10. If I got the right number, House Bill 10, which is the flag bill. We watched some of that hearing in a committee about making sure that the only flags allowed to be flown or displayed in public schools are the American flag and the Idaho state flag. So no pride flags, no BLM flags or MAGA flags or anything else that's distracting. So there was some good debate in committee and on that bill. And so once I believe Representative Ted Hill, once he stands up to open debate on that particular bill, we'll take it live and keep you posted on that. That's what we like to do here. Okay. Brian Allman is with us. He's down at the Capitol. Let's bring Brian on. Brian, welcome to the program, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm getting along. It was a great day today. Yeah, but we got to get back to work here in Idaho.
That's true. Yeah, real quick, what did you do? What did you spend the day yesterday watching the inauguration? Where were you?
Well, Monday mornings, I have a homeschool co-op that I teach history for. So this was history in the making, and we just watched the inauguration and all the pageantry surrounding. We kept watching more with my family. Donald Trump, almost 80 years old, oldest person ever to be inaugurated president, and yet he has the energy the night before, come in the morning, do the tea with the former president now, the ceremony, the rally, the parade, and then he signs executive orders all night long. He goes to the ball, and now he's back at it again today. I don't know how he does it. It's a lot of Diet Coke, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. A lot of Diet Coke and fillet of fish or whatever it is. So very good. All right. So this morning, at least over the weekend and this morning, some activity on the floor and in the Senate and in the committees. The Senate was busy this morning doing some gubernatorial appointments and such. What have you taken note of today? What's the feeling like today? I know they were in session yesterday as well, but get us up to speed a little bit.
Well, one really interesting thing that jumped out at me was 7:15 a.m., even before JFAC met, the House Ways and Means Committee convened. Now, that committee is a special committee just made up of leadership of both parties. Their point is just to do things that other committees aren't going to do. And they heard a new resolution by Representative Jason Muggs, the House Majority Leader, that seemed to the Senate's resolution rejecting the pay increase. As you recall, last week, the Senate passed by voice vote a resolution rejecting the 22% pay raise from $19,900 up to $25,000 for legislators, which they have the right to do. The Constitution allows them to reject that. Representative Muggs introduced a new one that instead of rejecting it, it gives legislators individually the option to donate unwanted salary relief fund. So that's interesting.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit here, so let me just clarify, see if I get this right. So Representative Monks appeared in the Ways and Means Committee with a resolution or a bill? Is it more of a resolution?
Still waiting to text. In the committee, they refer to it as a resolution.
Okay. And again, for those who might have missed it, this would allow for legislators to donate some of their pay or any of it or all of it to a fund that would be called a tax relief fund or something that would go back to the taxpayers. Is that?
As far as I understand it, I'll have to read the text, but it's an existing fund that's used for property tax relief and also offsetting different taxes, different property taxes at the local level.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough there. I guess we'll keep tabs. We'll keep tabs on that. Like you said, they met very early this morning, so we'll look into that as well. Okay. One of the other things, though, was Speaker Moyle was in front of the State Affairs Committee this morning with that bill that in the spirit of Doge, in the spirit of yesterday's festivities. Can we play a little bit of? We'll play a little bit of that if you can hear it.
I don't know about you guys, but Mike Moyle, District 10, by the way. I don't know about you guys yet today, but doesn't it feel better today after what happened yesterday? Watching what happened nationally yesterday, and it just feels like all is right in the world again, and we're so blessed, to live in Idaho. So now as we go forward and look at some of the things that were done nationally yesterday in regards to rules, for example, administrative rules and other things that the new president signed executive orders on, this bill before you kind of lies into that. The last several years, this body has gone out and readjusted the way we do regulation in the state of Idaho, the way we do rules. And we've done some great things. In fact, Representative Barbieri and others have worked on that. This bill takes the next step. We've been trying to control and get under control the rulemaking process and the rules that have the effect of law. This one now delves into the statutes. This says to the agencies that by September 1st of this coming year, they need to review all of their enabling legislation. They need to review it for things that are outdated, obsolete, and unnecessary. The goal is to clean up the code books that are behind you there and to make the statutes easier to read and to clean up some of the problems that are there. As you as legislators have noticed, sometimes you have to hopscotch around to find things.
Yeah,
We wanna
very
clean
good,
all
very
that
good.
stuff up,
Okay,
and
so
there's a lot
that
of
is
stuff
the
doesn't need to be
is
there.
the House Bill
It also gives
14 that
it also
will
gives
that will head over to it passed this committee and it will head over to the House for its reading calendars and such. Good. I mean, this is very much in the spirit. It's a very short bill, but it basically just tells the departments to give us a report of all the unnecessary code and so forth. Is that how you understand it, Brian?
That's pretty simple, and it sounds like this is part of what's going to be a larger agenda this year to do that Doge thing here in Idaho, just to try and clean up government. If viewers want, go to the state legislature website. You can read the Idaho Code. It's the entire body of Idaho law going all the way back before back to when we were just a territory, and it is thick. It is long. You just keep clicking through. There are so many different statutes and laws, and this bill is a good start because it has the state agencies themselves look at what is the law that created agency, what is the law that gave that agency its authority to do whatever it is it's doing, and then go back and decide if that can be cleaned up, if it can be cut, something outdated there. I mean, maybe there's some law regarding typewriters in there that nobody's ever really looked at. That's the sort of thing we just need to cut out. It's bloat. It needs to go.
Yeah, you'll love to see it. I know Idaho has been doing it for a while. He held up a stack of previous bills that have tried to do the similar things in different areas and such, but this seems to be a bigger comprehensive report that he's asking all these different agencies to deliver. So with the national attention on government efficiency, we're glad to see that it has the right attention here in Idaho as well. So that's really good. Okay, just to keep everybody up to speed, the House is still debating House Bill 7, this $300 minimum fine if you're caught with less than 3 ounces of marijuana.
Still Representative
No, now it's Representative Jack Nelson there out of District 26. Blaine counties, Lincoln County, and Jerome. So yeah, we'll keep tabs on that. Anyway, okay, Brian, I know you're headed to an event today. What can you tell the people about it?
Yeah, so there's an organization, I think they started last year or perhaps the year before. It's got 4 current and former legislators as their Idaho Family Strong. It's led by current representatives Bruce Skog, Senator Ben Taves, and former representatives Julianne Young and Gayan DeMardant. And they basically promote pro-family traditional values legislation and also act as a something that gets out there and gets people who are interested in that kind of notification and motivation to go out and testify and speak out on these things. They're partnering with Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a national organization promoting pro-family policies, to do an event here. I'm not quite sure what they're going to talk about, but I'll let people know once it's done.
Yeah, very good. Many of those representatives and former representatives you mentioned are good friends of the program. So, yeah, if we have that website, yeah, let's throw it up here. This is Idaho Family Strong, you said, right? And yeah, there it is, Defending Idaho Families. That's their website. We're big fans of anything that helps defend traditional Idaho families. So, very good. Well, we look forward to hearing how this event goes, Brian, and we'll let you go, and we'll come back tomorrow, and maybe you'll have some good notes for us.
Yeah, it's going to be another exciting week.
All right, Brian, take care, buddy. All right, Dale Hawkins, one of our favorites, is standing up right now in the well, that's John Gannon, but I think I don't know what happened. Let's hear what happened. I just saw Dale, so
in committee. I don't practice criminal law, so I can't answer that question specifically, but the public defender, one of the senior public defenders in Ada County, said that who handles these cases every day. They know what the sentences are and what they aren't. She said that in Ada County, it was 100 hours of community service. That's the source. And I can't tell you, I personally know that because I don't practice criminal law.
Young too.
Thank you, good gentleman. So, Mr. Speaker, I would go on that this is just another area where judges have discretion. There may not be any community service. There may not be any jail time. There may be as low as a $300 fine. The judges still have discretion. And it's like our good gentleman from 10 said, he hasn't heard from any judges that are against this. So we're hearing a lot of people saying we're taking away from them. But those who have been in contact with them, that's not what we're hearing. I think this is a good law for Idaho. I don't think we want to ever slip into what our neighbor to the west has done, who, by the way, is backing out of their decisions very quickly with their decriminalization of drugs. It has destroyed their infrastructure. It's destroyed their people. Their mental health crisis is going through the ceiling. So anything we can do that will act as a deterrent, I think, is a good thing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. For the motion, further debate on the motion. Hearing done with gentlemen from 11, 10, care to close. Oops, sorry, Mark. Jump from 1.
Mark works for me. Thank you. Just a point. I'm not sure about all of you. I called home on this one. The judge that I spoke with said, leave this one alone. We need the discretion. We want the local control. Ultimately, they're even on our ballots. So you could probably figure out where I stand on this. So I like the local control. The judge that I speak with is...
That is Mark Sauter, representative from District 1.
Conservative in the... I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Further debate on the motion. Gentleman 25.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The good lady from 18 yield to a question.
Lady from 18 yield to a question.
Okay, we're going to dip out of this. We'll let them hash it out for a little bit longer here as we move along in the program. Folks, our good friends at In the Know Idaho took note, as some of you might have over the weekend, that TikTok was banned in America. It's incredible. But then it came back. Watch this.
TikTok is gone? It finally happened. They've been talking about it for years. You just never think this kind of thing's gonna happen to you. TikTok was a bastion of free speech in the West, or so I'm told. I just don't know how we're gonna get along without it. Oh, it's back. Thank you, President Trump. Whew. Wait, it's gone again. Oh, now it's back, but it's just called Talk? I think I just saw it. Now when I click on the app, I just get redirected to trumpstore.com/headwear. Dear TikTok user, we've decided to return to our roots and will henceforth be known as Musical.ly. Big thanks to President Trump for making karaoke great again. Dear TikTok user, if you have any farmland for sale, please contact us to receive a full cash offer. Dear TikTok user, if you can read this, we're being held in Mark Zuckerberg's doomsday bunker, and he's making us watch Facebook Reels on Meta goggles 24/7. Send help. Dear TikTok user, please open CapCut and enter the 12-digit password when prompted. You will be invited to join a secret community of 1.5 billion users. Well, now it's back, but it's not available in the App Store. I might have deleted it too quickly. This is like Parler all over again. Oh, there's a new app out. Trump Talk by Truth Social. Dear TikTok user, Trump said we can stay if we stop spying on you guys and start paying lots and lots of tariffs. We are now contractually obligated to change our company slogan to MAGA and to play the U.S. national anthem every time you open the app. We look forward to censoring you. I think they meant to say serving you. Wow, what a day. Maybe I'll just switch to Red Note.
Exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among a world silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together. Okay, we are back here. That is Representative David Cannon out of District 30, straight up 30. They are still debating House Bill 7, which is the $300 minimum fine if you're caught with 3 ounces or less of marijuana. I guess currently there is no minimum fine. It's up to the discretion of the judge to do anything, to do something about that. And so we'll keep tabs on this vote for you as we continue forward here today. We did have on deck Representative Rob Beiswinger, who is currently on the floor right now as they're continuing these debates. So we'll see if he's able to join the program before we go off the air. But the reason why we're going to have him on is because this morning in the House State Affairs Committee, he presented for, is it the 6th time? It wasn't his 6th time, but it was maybe the 6th time that a bill, maybe more, that a bill to prohibit government agencies from mandating the public wear masks. This is that bill, and we're going to get into that real quick. But let's go back to the live shot because it looks like they're taking a vote on the marijuana bill here, and overwhelmingly.
Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine and report the pairs.
Kaler votes aye. Egbert votes nay.
54 ayes, 14 nays, 2 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of House Bill 7. House Bill 7 is passed the House. Is there correction in the title?
Okay, so that passed. Mostly Democrats on the no side. A couple other Republicans went to the no as well. Let's listen to Monks here.
Can hold its place on the third reading calendar, one legislative day.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered, and the bill will remain on the third reading calendar. Without objection, the House now advance to 15th order of business.
Okay, so we will not be hearing the 10th House Bill 10, the flag bill. That was Representative Jason Monks there, who is the House Majority Leader, stood up and requested that bill hold its day on the reading calendar. We're going to get into what all this reading calendar stuff means in a little bit, but basically what happened there is they're going to hold it over for the next day. So we'll check in tomorrow and see if they vote on the flag bill tomorrow. So there we go. That's how it goes. So we don't know whether or not we're live with something. We always try to have something else in the hopper. So perhaps Representative Beiswinger will be able to join us since we're not going to be debating that bill for a little while. Okay, so let's get back into this. So the mask mandates bill. This is Representative Beiswinger this morning in the House State Affairs Committee with this bill. Let's watch.
Consideration RS 31857, represented by Beiswinger? Did I say it right? Beiswinger. All right, Beiswinger. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. It's some people say Budweiser, and I just say as long as it's not Bud Light, I'm good with it. So,
all right, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill has come here before. It passed before. It did not pass the Senate. Want to kind of take another crack at it. A lot of interest in the community, I think, and District 8. That's where I represent Boise Valley, Custer, and Elmore counties. And I think one thing we learned from the COVID, lots of government overreach and overreaction. So trying to put some guardrails back in place. This bill will simply prohibit any government official from imposing a mask mandate for the purpose of preventing the transmission of viruses and infectious diseases and stuff like that. I would note this bill does exempt, healthcare workers. So if you're a dentist or a surgeon and you don't want your saliva going out in your patient, you would still could be required to wear a mask mandate in that sense. Or if you're, a welder or you work with concrete and you've got mask protections to keep dust out of your lungs, it doesn't apply to anything like that. So pretty simple bill. I think you'd find there's wide support in the state, and I would hope you would consider supporting this one as well.
Thank you, Representative Beiswinger. Is there questions for Representative Barbieri?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Beiswinger, is this identical to what we did last year, or is there edits from that?
Representative?
From what I looked at, I wasn't here 2 years ago. I tried to compare it. It looked almost exactly the same. It was extremely similar. I guess Senator Lenny is here. Yeah, it is the exact same bill.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, the RS is properly before the committee. Representative Palmer.
I would move to send RS 31857. Introduce.
Committee, a motion to introduce RS 31857. Is there discussion on that motion? Representative Achilles.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick comment on the motion. I think when this comes back to committee, I am concerned that this seems much more than just guardrails on mask mandates, but it's an outright prohibition. I would like to see some medical professionals or public health professionals participate in the hearing when this comes back so we can get their perspective on it too.
Representative, I don't know if you can promise that, but you're certainly welcome. Representative Achilles, I mean, the sponsor can't force those folks to be here, but you can definitely ask them, and they're always welcome in committee. So yes, we hope that they show up and answer any questions. Committee, any further discussion?
Oh dear. For some reason it feels as though like Achilles is like, he thinks he's like a, what are those people? What I'm trying to find a nice word, where they just sit up there and they make demands of you. Oh, please bring forward me this, bring forward me that. Like, unbelievable. Well, folks, you know what I got here? You know what this is? This is the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. This is the after-action review of the COVID-19 pandemic, the lessons learned, and a path forward. This is this is an official final report from the congressional subcommittee that was published December 4, 2024. So just over a month ago, this report came out. And there's an entire 10-page section on masks. It's section 5. You can find it on page 203. And it goes through masks and mask mandates were ineffective at controlling the spread of COVID-19. So there's 11 pages here, folks, 11 pages worth of information on a timeline of how the masking thing even came about, the studies that were supposedly cited that were supposed to defend the use of masks and mask mandates. And then of course the studies that were conducted after the pandemic subsided, and its detrimental effect that it had that mask mandates had on children. And so to answer and to kind of get into the in front of a Representative Achilles here and everybody else out there who still thinks that mask mandates are a thing and should be a thing. We've got all this, and I'm gonna walk through some of this and highlight some of those things. But I kind of want to stress the point. You might be out there asking, like, why do we even care, right? Why do we care anymore? Especially in Idaho, because I get emails. I'm trying to shut this thing off here. Okay, I get emails, I get messages, I get people saying like, just don't comply. Just don't comply. We don't need a law. We don't need this. We don't need that. I'm sorry, but you do. You do need it, because it's not for you to say you don't need to comply. It's telling government agencies that there is a law that says they cannot do this. So when you're not complying, right, because you're not going to comply anyway, now you can point to a statute. You can point to law that tells that courthouse or that health district or that school district or what other rogue agency out there wants to do mask mandates, that they can't do this. That is it against the law for them to be doing this. if they even do it, because now it will be against the law. So most people are going to be like, well, we can't do it anymore. So we can recommend it. We can make a noise about it. And those who are going to do it, I mean, I still walk around today and still people are still wearing masks alone in their car. Right. So, it happens. And if you think it's not, that they won't even try it again. Just earlier this month, there was this is out of, now again, this is California, right? But that being said, California mentality is everywhere, right? That's, if you want to talk about a real virus that spreads. This was posted on January 3rd of this year. And those are signs that are posted outside a transportation terminal, right? So if you're going to be in these transportation terminals, masks are required per the California Department of Public Health, whatever it's called. Okay. So that was just a couple of weeks ago. So these things are still out there. This mentality is still out there, even though with a congressional report that's 500 pages long, there's 11 pages of it talk about masks specifically. And so I want to kind of walk you through some of this, because we ended up, and I'll tell you what we did. Some of you already know what you did. Some of you participated already. But the first thing was, let's go down this timeline. Is there any way to make this? I feel like I'm a little too small down there. I don't know. It's my own. Maybe it's my my own insecurities. But here. Okay. So page 203. Here's how it starts out. During a 60 Minutes interview, Dr. Fauci stated, when you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is, right? And so we all remember that. We all remember the first time Fauci came out and said, well, it's not really a thing. You don't really need to be doing that thing. The CDC later on went so far as posting a video the next month saying that we should be wearing masks, and their video that they posted it taught the public how to make masks with a t-shirt and a rubber band. You can get rid of the PDF. It's too small to read anyway. It taught people how to make a mask with a t-shirt, right? Think about what you know now, the people who wear masks, right? The CDC told you to make a mask with a t-shirt and a rubber band, while before they were saying you don't even need one, right? That's the timeline. That's a real timeline. That's really what happened, okay? Then there was a review that was carried out by the Cochrane collaboration, which is one of the most highly regarded, and I'm reading from the report, one of the most highly regarded methodologies in evidence-based healthcare. And they said that there was not a clear reduction. They did not show a clear reduction in respiratory viral infection with the use of a medical and surgical mask. So basically they said there was no clear difference in the effectiveness between medical surgical masks compared with the N95 masks that you hear about, that we eventually started hearing about, right? So there was no difference between the two. Okay. Then in May of 2021, because of the changes in the Biden administration, states began lifting their mask mandates. And then in July, they said that vaccinated individuals should be wearing masks again if they were indoors. I mean, back and forth. Some of you may have forgotten about this, but this is real. This really happened. Okay, so all that to say that eventually we love doing this, folks. We love walking through this stuff. They talked about sanitation measures, right? When you're wearing the mask, if you don't regularly change the mask, you are collecting moisture, bacteria. You can get a fungal infection. I mean, there were so many different things. I mean, did you see how these people would wear masks? They'd pull it down, they'd pull it up, they'd pull it down, they'd pull it up, all throughout the day. It was disgusting. And then, of course, the children, right? This is all about masking children in the house. Now let's throw up that, if you can find it, let's throw up that graph. look at this graph. This is a over a specific period of time here. Yeah, fast forward here. There it is. Now, the orange line is places where there was a mask mandate in place. In the black line is places where there was no. Oh no, I'm sorry. It could be the other way around. The black line is where there is a mandate, and the orange line is when there is no mandate. Okay? And if you can see here, those lines overlap. They overlap constantly. So at the highest peak there, the place that had a mask mandate had their daily new cases per 100,000 people spiked in places where there was a mask mandate. Right? So the science is there, Representative Achilles and all you folks out there. The science is there. The other area is that there was quantifiable harm in the masking of children. And we could go on and on and on about that. But I believe we're on to something here because Representative Beiswinger, he joins us now. Representative, good to see you, sir. I know this was just a print hearing this morning, but there always has to be a step one, and you accomplished that this morning. So welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Glad to be here. It's a good issue. I think it's, I think sometimes we kind of forget that we didn't actually fix it.
Oh, did we lose him? Rob, I think we might have lost you a little bit. Did we lose his audio?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Reconnect. Nothing?
I can hear you slightly. It's a little muffled.
Try this. Usually they work better. That's why I put them on.
There we go. Good? Now that's clear. Yeah, that's clear now.
Okay. It probably just, connections and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that we haven't fixed this already. It's 2025. This COVID started in 2020. You would think with the huge Republican majorities we have and Republican governor and all that stuff, we would have fixed this already. The bill did pass the House a couple of years ago. The Senate didn't move on it. So it is the same bill again. So the House, I think, we're pretty optimistic there. It's pretty common sense. This really just says, government officials can't force people to wear a mask, when it comes to regards, vaccine or not vaccine, but viruses and infectious diseases, that kind of thing. Because we know, as even before this whole COVID stuff started, that's not what these masks are intended for. They don't work to stop it. They obviously didn't work at all. And the thing is, for like Representative Achilles, you kind of mentioned him there. If a government wants to tell us that we should wear a mask, they can still recommend it. They can say, hey, I think this would be a good idea for you. They just can't force it on us.
Right. And that's a great point. This is not about making recommendations or listening to experts when it comes to that to that matter. But I walked through, I don't know if you were on when I was walking through some of the timeline where very early on, and maybe you forgot about this too, but there was a point where the CDC was teaching people how to make a mask out of a t-shirt and rubber bands. Right. So, I mean, what kind of experts are we expecting to bring into this committee, Representative Achilles? You don't have to bash him, or you can let me do that all day long. But I just find it so irritating that we're still having this argument at this point, like you said, here in Idaho, especially, but that there are folks out there who are still insisting, even though you're showing them, I mean, we have this report from Congress, and there's 10 pages in here on mask mandates and also the detriment to children. Can you speak a little bit about what you know about the effects that these masks had on the psyche and the health of children in schools? What have you heard?
I mean, it's totally unnatural. Actually, my wife's a board certified behavior analyst. We have a business working with kids in Indiana. She's spent her entire career, working with young children in developmental stages and so forth. And yeah, I mean, looking at those facial expressions is important for infants. It's important for kids. It's important for them to see the emotions on people's face, to study body language. I mean, there's important reasons to see that. And again, I would say it's not like the masks ever worked at all anyway. So it's not like, well, we're going to have a trade-off between the mask stopping these viruses versus the cost of, whatever you lose, by wearing them. There's like no benefit to this unless you're talking about like, spit. And I mean, that's what, if you remember early on in COVID, they asked some of these doctors, these hospitals, said, hey, can we wear these masks? Like, well, the masks are really just for surgical stuff. So you don't have spit coming out and landing on a patient, or, blood or sweat or sneezing, all those kinds of things. I mean, those virus particles are so small. It's like, the analogy is if you had a chain link fence trying to stop a piece of dust. I mean, there's just no way it's going to work at all. And, I mean, that's why Dr. Fauci at one point said, well, maybe we need to consider wearing scuba gear, and, put on the scuba goggles, because you got to protect your eyes too. Really, I mean, if you really want to go all out, the military, and my dad was retired Air Force, they have hazard, suits that you can wear against biological warfare. And it's a lot more than a paper mask. Let me assure you, it's more like a, stormtrooper outfit in Star Wars, compared to wearing a paper mask that, you would need to throw out just to keep, sanitary needs anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. Great points. Great points. I just can't get over the fact that these people still think that these things work. And, and speaking of Fauci, is that the kind of expert that Representative Achilles would like to see? Somebody who needs a pardon for all his great expertise. Okay. All right. Well, then let's get to the meat of the matter here, because like you mentioned, this is we're hoping it gets through the Senate this time. The House, it shouldn't be a problem, especially because this is the same bill. Pretty much. I mean, it sounded like the language was the same bill as it was last year when it sailed through the House. So what are have you had any conversations on the Senate side, or are you letting your Senate co-sponsor handle that? What is the sentiment you feel so far right now?
Well, Brian Lenny's the sponsor there. I mean, he's really handling the Senate side. This is my third week here, not even 2 weeks plus. This is my, 5, 10, 12 days here. So my contacts in the Senate are somewhat limited, I guess. Keep this in mind. I would say if you step back and look at the legislature here in Idaho, roughly half the legislature has been replaced in the last 2 election cycles for redistricting, defeat of incumbents, retirements, whatever. So that means half the people started here basically since the COVID stuff. And if you talk to the new members, stuff I'm talking to, largely they're motivated based on the COVID style issues, vaccine mandates, mask mandates, government shutdowns. That's what activated them to feel like they need to step up and make a difference, even in Idaho, and that's true for me too, of course.
Absolutely. That's the truth for a lot of us. And that's a great point you made, that between the last last cycle and this cycle, you said over half of the seats.
Roughly half, yeah.
Roughly half. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. And a lot of that is definitely motivated by COVID. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to keep tabs on this. I know it was just a print hearing. And we'll see when you probably don't have a date for the other hearing yet?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be scheduled, I'm sure. It could be available, I guess, in a couple of days. I know the state affairs calendar's, pretty heavy. But I'll work with Chairman Crane on getting this up for too long here. I think the committee was receptive to it, as you kind of probably got a vibe for.
Yeah, very good. Okay, folks. So pay attention to that, and we'll make sure to motivate folks to show up for testimony and send in letters and support. And of course, we have a petition. We had over 1,400 people sign our petition. There it is there, and so we've sent that to you and the co-sponsors as well, and we'll be delivering that over to the Senate as well to make sure that we get this through over the hump. Representative, thanks for joining us. Where can people follow you and keep tabs on your work and get in touch with you?
Well, if you go to the State Assembly website, there's my phone number and email listed there, the official one. You go to my campaign webpage, it's Idaho4Rob.com, Idaho4Rob.com. Or on Twitter, it's just my first, Rob Beiswinger, the X handle there. I'll cover it a little bit there. And there's a Facebook page there, Idaho for Rob Facebook page as well. So trying to cover it all, but I know there's a zillion ways to do it these days.
There is. Well, we're glad to have you on here. We'll make sure people know how to get in touch with you if they miss that. But thanks again, Rob. I appreciate it. Thank you, Representative.
Thanks, Matt. Nice to hear from you.
All right. Take care. All right. Good news, folks. Very good news. We're glad to have Representative on. We'll take a fast, short break. We'll be back to wrap things up and get you some news about something Senator Risch was doing down at in Washington, D.C. So on deck. We'll see you then.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.
all Idaho lawmakers swear an oath to support the Idaho and U.S. constitutions. But how's that working out for you? Because not all Idaho lawmakers share the same values. That's where the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge comes in. 10 statements inspired by those 2 founding documents that are designed to preserve our shared values. Values such as education freedom, safeguarding free speech, defending our protected right to self-defense, and being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. When a lawmaker signs the pledge, they are performing an act of political courage, accepting the challenge to be a champion for our values, and serving with political integrity. To find out if your lawmaker signed the pledge, visit idahopledge.com. Paid for by Citizens Alliance of Idaho. We ride together.
There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, I'm glad we traded that raspy voice for the raspy voice of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., huh? Come on. Can I get an amen for that? Oh boy. You know, I'm telling you folks, you got to download this. You got to download or go over to that congressional report. I mean, in times of national public health crisis, Americans should be able to turn to the CDC to guide us through turmoil. Yet during the COVID-19 pandemic, the worst public health crisis in our modern era, the CDC constantly redirected their opinions and provided conflicting answers. Their actions undermined the American people's belief in the CDC, public health leadership, and science as a whole. It really did. At the start of the pandemic, 69% of Americans believed what the CDC said. Yet by March of 2022, that number was only 44%. Incredible. And that was based on they have their footnotes here. That was based on a New York Times article in March of 2022. So anyway, folks, we can't let up. Cannot let up on this stuff. Cannot let up. Very good. Okay. Real quick, I kind of wanted to show, let's do the senator stuff, Senator Risch stuff, and then if you can bring up a reading calendar for that, either the House or the Senate, we'll go to that after the Risch stuff. But so just to prep you guys, so we told you we want to make sure we're paying attention to what our senators and congressmen are doing in Washington D.C. And Senator Risch released a video. It was pretty vague, but he said he introduced 3 new bills to help protect Second Amendment rights, not only in Idaho, but across the country. And so we kind of wanted to shuffle through these real quick. So the first bill here would block the ATF's ability to deny firearm and ammunition imports into your state. And the next bill, we're not going to read the whole thing, is a bill to block the federal gun registry. This will also instruct the ATF to destroy all the records that they have of any gun ownership that they have currently. And these are good. These are good. But and then this one here looks like a joint one to introduce constitutional carry. So if you have a carry permit and you want to carry, we want a nationwide constitutional carry reciprocity, which means that if you already have a permit to carry, you can go anywhere in the country with it, that every state would have to recognize that. The other 2 bills, you guys, I thought it was Congressman Fulcher was trying to just dismantle and get rid of the ATF entirely. So I don't know which needs to happen first, if we need to get rid of the rules that the ATF put in, or we can just get rid of the ATF altogether. So we're paying attention on that. If that stuff interests you, then get in touch with your senators and representatives at the congressional level. Okay, very good. So as we were noted earlier in the broadcast, we were about to watch House Bill 10 be taken up in the in the House of Representatives. And this would, of course, make it so that only the American flag and the Idaho state flag could be flown in schools. That got pushed to another day, so we'll have to pay attention to that tomorrow. But I kind of want to walk through a little bit here. So let's bring up what the calendar looks like. This here is the Senate calendar. So every day this will change, and you can see the date up there, and that it's the 16th legislative day. That's today, and each of the chambers has their own orders. So they have 1 through 15 or whatever. So this is the 10th order. So that's what they did this morning. In the 10th order, they took care of business that was assigned to the 10th order. So this morning they were approving these gubernatorial appointments, and they were going through a bunch of these. Some of these got held over for the next day. I believe they held over Senate Concurrent Resolution 101, which funnily enough, was about COVID-19, creating a task force to look into COVID-19 in the state. I believe they held that over as well. I didn't see any debate on that. I could have missed it, but our people are telling us that didn't happen. And then you see here bills on the second reading and bills on the third reading. Idaho statute says that every bill must be read before the body 3 times. It has to be read when it's introduced, which is its first reading. It has to be read a second time before the House or the Senate, and then it has to be read a third time. After it's read a third time is when it can get voted on. Now, there are certain things and certain rules that both the House and the Senate will adopt or motion with a voice vote without objection, that sort of thing, where they will move the calendar around and they'll put a bill here and they'll put a bill there. But this is, generally speaking, this is how it's been done since time immemorial. A bill gets read to everybody, and then it gets read a second time, and then it gets read a third time. And this is to ensure, the idea behind this, of course, is to ensure that everybody's on the same page, we all hear the bill, and that there's enough time to contemplate the bill. And so that things aren't just pushed through like that. Like, it needs to be read out loud. Now, you'll hear most of the time, when the clerk in the House or the Senate will stand up to begin to read the bill, that a senator or representative will rise and say, I motion or I request that the rules be suspended, and we don't have to read the whole thing aloud. And because they literally will read the entire bill. I mean, if it's a 13-page bill, the clerk will read every single word. And so in the interest of time and to keep things going, they will say, let's not read that out loud anymore. And part of the reason behind doing that is that everybody has digital copies now. It's much easier to disseminate this information. But although occasionally someone will say they'll object, and the clerk will have to read the whole bill. So we watch out for that. But generally speaking, that's how it goes. And so today it was on the third reading calendar, which meant House Bill 10 would have been voted today, and it wasn't. So it was pushed and requested to be pushed to the next day. So we'll check back in tomorrow for that flag bill and see how it goes, and how everything else goes. So very good. Okay. I've been wearing this hat today. I don't know if you guys noticed. This is Life Public House. It's a coffee shop and public house in Coeur d'Alene, and they have coffee that you can buy. And there it is, lifecda.com. You head over there and buy some coffee. 10% off your order for some roasted. It's roasted in-house. My favorite is the one in the middle there, Mineral Ridge. Mighty, mighty tasty. And you can get 10% off your order. You can order as many bags as you want, and you get 10% off if you use the promo code SIGNAL. And a portion of their proceeds are going to a charity. I'm still trying to confirm. That's on my end to not confirm what the charity goes to, but I will get you that information. If you've been waiting this whole time, I will get you that information, because I want to be absolutely certain and specific of that name. But regardless of that, if you just want great coffee, head over to lifecda.com, use the promo code SIGNAL, and get 10% off your online order. Okay, folks. Very good. I I guess that's all we got today. If you want to leave a voicemail, if you want to leave us an email, it's been scrolling down at the bottom where you can do that. We've played voicemails on the show before, and I got an email the other day that I thought maybe I should read to you folks, and so we might do that as well. So send us your email, send us your rants, and get us online. We'll get your message online. There's the number to call, 208-402-4915 to leave your message, and we'll play it on the air. Very good. All right, folks. What a great day yesterday. Another great day today. Busy week ahead here in Idaho. I appreciate you watching the program. I'm trying to see if I have some outro music, but it just hasn't happened. We'll get there. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.
This bill, I think, puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.